do is to use a hacksaw blade and round these corners, just taking off chunks, making it round. Then we'll add gouges and creases in here, make it look more like a rock. As for this spray foam, we just cut off these little bubbles here, and we just blend everything in. Go in a zigzaggy motion, so it's not so round and perfect. Cut corners like so. And blend in here. If there's still gaps still in here, don't worry, this will be all filled in with mud later, and fiberglass. As you see, there's like a gouge over here. I think I'll take this gouge and continue it into here, so that it would blend this into here. And there you have it. Do the whole thing like this. After your project has been carved, it'll go from this to this. And now comes the next part of this program, mudding. Mudding is to unite all these different surface textures, also to blend all the gaps. It'll also protect the styrofoam from the resin, which will eat through this. Now, resin dries very quickly, and it'll eat some of it, but not all of it, so it'll dry very quickly. But we mud it anyway to give it more uniformity in the crevices and the gaps and holes that are within here. And what you do is you take some drywall compound and you smear it in there. First you put a big glop through it, just to cover every crevice. And then you start to smooth back. You don't need too heavy of a cover in here. Just enough to protect the styrofoam. And you do the entire thing like this. The structure is now mudded. If you want to turn this into a model mountain for a movie, you just have to paint it and it's ready to shoot. If you want to turn it into a waterfall, just have some sugar or salt flowing from the ledges here, and it will simulate water. But we're going much further than that. It's going to be a real waterfall, so our next process is to fiberglass the entire structure. It's a little messy, it's smelly, but it must be done. Now comes the time for fiberglassing. We take our sheet here and cut it up into smaller squares, quartering the full fiberglass sheet. You take the cap from a small resin can and you fill it to the top. You add 20 drops of hardener, mix it in for about 15 seconds, and then take your brush and your resin and you start stabbing it into the styrofoam. You don't want to brush it on because then the brush will lift the fiberglass off. You just want to stab at it until it sticks. Sometimes it'll slide off. That's when you use your skewers to just poke it into the styrofoam to hold it in position until it's wet enough to actually hold it in position. And then if things get a little sticky, sometimes you'll get these strings clogging your gloves. Use acetone to clean your tools, your gloves, any resin marks everywhere. Disposable gloves are always handy because you don't want all that stuff on your hands. If so, just use acetone to clean off your hands. And now we're going to show you how to apply the fiberglass and the resin to the styrofoam. So I pour this resin into one of these smaller caps here, about a full load like so, and 20 drops of hardener. Okay. It is messy, it is sticky, it is resin. And it smells like you wouldn't believe. Okay. And now we apply. First we place it like this. And then we tack it down with resin. And this goes on for several days. Or hours, depending how big your waterfall is. And try to get rid of some of these wrinkles here. Wrinkles we can always remove by sanding or covering up with Bondo and then making it smoother later. And you keep saturating it until it starts to wrap around your rock formations. Making sure that it's saturated so that it really sticks on there. Occasionally it'll pull up, so you just got to push it back down again. That's alright. Now these strings get in the way. See that? It is my bane. Next we locate what needs to be bondoed and what needs an extra patch. P stands for patch. B for Bondo. The patches will cover up the holes. The Bondo will cover up the wrinkles. As you can see here, here's a patch ready to be applied. There's a hole here, and we patch it up like so. As you can see, the entire mountain has P's and B's written all over it. There's a lot of cleanup work to be done. But once it's done, it's going to be beautiful.